as well is feedback to me is really important, and not just great job, but tell me what I can improve on, or tell me something that is good but why. I don't know if you guys have anything to share on that. I'm sure you probably do as far as feedback.
Yeah, I think some of my favorite classes were the classes I struggled the most in. I think just because I was lucky and I always had teachers who, I think when I started my college experience, I always had teachers who kind of pushed me to understand why I was struggling versus like, oh, you're struggling because, you just don't know what you're doing. Versus like, oh, maybe there's a different way to approach the problem, kind of take a step back, or kind of jot down everything you're thinking of that problem and then attack it from each of those ways that you kind of jot that I was thinking. And I think, personally, I prioritized what work I would do first based on the teacher. And I think it was more of a subconscious thing. But looking at it now, it was probably because I was like, oh, the teachers that really weren't that helpful or something like that. And like, yeah, you know what, maybe I just won't do that work, or I'll take the loss in points. Because, whether I do it or whether I don't, they're not going to really kind of give me any great feedback on it. But I think the teachers that did, I made sure I did that work first.
And also, going along with what Sean has stated, I think teachers who are invested, you could see that they love teaching or just like teaching. Obviously, the ideal is that you love it, but anyway, it's just that they teach based on concept. They don't just focus on application and the grade. Because I think many of us focus on, I want to get the grade, and I'll do anything that I can to achieve that grade no matter what. And I think, that's where some of us falter because we're not focused too much on the actual concepts. And I think professors can help us direct our attention from that grade into what the concepts are really about. And the way they structure their class should be pushed to kind of create an environment where we just focus on what the concept is and trying to understand it. I think concept is huge, not just focusing on grades. And with teachers say, oh, you're failing the class, this and that. Sure, it's a wake-up call, but maybe they can say, oh, maybe you just didn't understand this concept. Or maybe these are, look at the exam and just hit upon the points that you just didn't quite understand. And then actually sit with that student and have a conversation about what went wrong in your exam or your English paper. It could be anything, and just have that conversation.
So if I had one piece of advice for teachers, it would be, in terms of feedback, like a critical breakdown of exactly what they're thinking at the time of reading whatever they're giving feedback on. And for example, take a small paragraph or a small chunk of what I was writing, and if it was either too vague or a little ambiguous, or she didn't understand exactly what I was trying to say, she would write, I didn't understand this because of this, or maybe I would try writing it like this and then give me an example of how she would write it so that I could look back at that, the next time I had to write something for the course.
A piece of advice that I will provide to a professor is to understand that we are not at your level, and sometimes if a specific concept is repeated, we don't understand it as it is. So if you help us to point out the resources that the college provide, like the Writing Center or the Turing Center, it will really help.
And that goes along with how they structure the class and how they kind of direct themselves towards you and everything, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is a big thing. The first day of class kind of sets up the whole semester, in my opinion, or quarter, and I think that's the syllabus is, I don't know, I think a good outlier of how things are going to go down. Mm-hmm. And when I get one of those syllabuses that are 12 pages long and everything, so I'm like, oh.
It's one of those.
I don't know. I don't know how this quarter's going to go.
I think what this whole growth mindset presentation has taught me is just for teachers to talk to their students and treat them like real people and adults, not like children. Because I think sometimes, because you're in that position of authority, you think that, you know, you have, that students are submissive, and they're not. You know, yes, we are learning and we do have a student position, but we're not children. And I think we deserve to be spoken to like real people who have real ideas and can actually obtain great comprehension of what we're learning. So I think in the way the message is being delivered to students, I think that's huge.
I got back a paper and it said, great job, and which at first you would think, oh, great job, okay, but then it also said, but it doesn't end here. Like, you did a great job, but I think there's still more. You could still find more, you could still do more research, and you can still continue on. It wasn't just, great job, that was awesome. It was like, great work, there's more. It doesn't end here.